On September 14th, 1983, 11-year-old Sabrina Bowie was raped, strangled to death, and left in the soybean fields of North Carolina by two young men. One of the young men was 15-year-old Leon Brown, sentenced to the death penalty after 5 hours of investigation. After nearly 31 years of imprisonment, both of the gentlemen were pardoned by Governor Pat McCrory in 2015 due to new DNA evidence that had proven that they were innocent. My name is Anthony Morrow, Senator of Tennessee, and I am proposing a bill that we should abolish the death penalty. This is too common of occurrence where innocent people are being charged with the death penalty, and they don't have a chance to prove that they're innocent before they are sentenced to death. Former Justice of the U.S. Supreme Court, John Paul Stevens, was elected by Republicans, where he had strong views to support them. And within his time, he had changed his views after retiring in the U.S. Supreme Court, and says that we should abolish the death penalty and go away with it. So I'm going to show a quick video of him now.
They say it took you to change your mind from the time you came on the court in 1975 until 2008. Why do you think it took you as long as it did to change your mind? And was it for humane reasons or constitutional reasons?
Well, I think that what's happened in the period that I've been on the court is that the court has used death penalty litigation to develop rules that make.
All right. So if we look at some of the ways that he was talking about, is deterrence. Not many people know what deterrence is. Does the death penalty deter people? Which means, are they threatened basically to offend? Are they scared to offend due to that they would go to the death penalty? Most people believe that they can get away with it. That they think that they can take a plea bargain, or they'll offer them something better than having to go to death row. The death penalty, I don't feel like changes the way that murderers think. Most of the time, it occurs in the heat of the moment. They walk in and see their wife cheating on them. They might kill the man and not even really think about death penalty or other ways. They just happens right there in the heat of the moment. So let's take another example: speeding. If people get killed for speeding, how many people would do that? Not many. I know I would try my best not to, because I wouldn't be sentenced to death for speeding. So this would actually deter people from committing speeding. Um, so a common question is, does taxpayers' money really go to most of that? Of course it is. I mean, the criminal justice doesn't really have the money to pay for all of this, so they use taxpayers' money. That's how officers and everybody gets paid. But if you look at the chart that I have, it shows that it is a lot cheaper to go ahead and send someone to life in prison than even bringing up the death penalty at all. Even if you just bring it up in a court case and they ended up not using it, it's still a lot more expensive than it is just to give them a life imprisonment. Based on a study of the Death Penalty Information Center, Tennessee, it costs about 48% more to sentence someone to death than it is to send them to life imprisonment. That's a lot more money. If it costs $500,000 to sentence someone to life imprisonment, then it's going to cost you almost $1 million to go ahead and send them to the death penalty. And then that's just more money that's going towards you in taxes. So if you also look at some other things that John Paul Stevens had said, is the Eighth Amendment, which he talks about no excessive bail, no cruel and unusual punishment. And he said that includes the death penalty, which is a good way to put it, because if you look over in other countries, such as what's going on with ISIS right now, you can tell that if they're beheading people or they're lining them up, running them over vehicles, that is cruel and not usual. So we think that's better to do other ways. So we inject them with stuff, we'll hang them, or whatever we can do legally now is what we do. And even being falling asleep and not waking up, nobody's ever came back to say that doesn't hurt. So how do we know that the injection doesn't hurt and they immediately die? You can go based on their heart rate and stuff, but no one's actually come back like, yeah, it's fine, go ahead and do that. So a study, I have another chart. Professor Austin Serrett of Michigan University found that over 120 years, 3.5% of the attempted death penalty things that something has went wrong, whether it's the the gas didn't work, the injection went wrong, something had went wrong, and therefore they had to suffer. They didn't die immediately. It could have took longer, and they had to revive them or something. I mean, it's just they had to suffer, which isn't right, and that's not what we were based on. So even if you look at the shootings, like where you line them up and you fire at the firing line, um, so far it says there's not been any, but who's to say that's not going to happen? I mean, there's always that chance. So there's other ways that we should go about or put people in jail, or we should do other things without having to do the death penalty. We could sentence them to life without parole. They would be stuck in the jail cell. They won't be able to go out. They won't be able to talk to anybody. They'll be stuck in that one area where they bring the food to them. They're stuck. They stay. Nobody can mess with them. They can't get back out into society. Another way is life with parole. Most of the time, you have to stay in jail for 30 years before they'll, even if you have good behavior, then most of the time you stay there until that's whenever they decide to let you go. So if you're 40 years old, 35 years old, you're 60, 70. How many times are you going to commit a crime after you've been put in jail? They believe that at older age you've matured even more, so they don't think that you'd try to kill somebody if you're getting up there in age by yourself. So they don't feel like you're a real major threat to society. So how many people actually remember 9/11? I know I didn't remember a whole lot. I remember it happened, and I remember where I was, but I don't remember all the stuff that happened on that day. So about a month before that occurred, Zakaris Musai, he was arrested. They thought he was something to do with terrorist attacks. They had found some stuff about him, and then after 9/11 happened, they actually uh, put him in the same category as the ones that were with them and thought that he was part of that group. One single juror saved him from being put to the death penalty, and since 2006, he has been incarcerated for 23 hours a day in a concrete cell. I'm sure he has a bed, but it's not comfy. It's nothing to brag about. And for 1 hour, so for the other hour out of the day, he basically goes to a concrete pool, no water. I mean, he's stuck out there, and he has no access to inmates, no access to the guards, and they say nothing to him. Most of the time, they just take him straight there and bring him straight back to the cell. So he has no really contact with the outside world except seeing like the birds or the planes or whatever's up in the sky during that time. It could even be rain. I mean, it's just whatever he can find. He doesn't talk to anybody. So the next time you want to sentence someone to death row, ask yourself this: why do we as a country want to kill people who kill people to show citizens that killing is wrong? Thank you.